This is going to be just a little bit of the problems that I have with Saul, off the top of my head. Number one, the Pharisees loved Paul. The same ones that crucified Jesus and stoned Stephen rallied to his protection when he came before them. I am a Pharisee, the son of a Pharisee. I used to think that was cool. I used to think, man, Paul sure was clever. He wasn't clever, he was soft. He was clever, but he was soft. And he would say whatever anybody wanted to hear in order to give him money, give him protection, whatever. Paul's account of his salvation on the road to Damascus changes. He gives three different accounts. One is immediately after, where he sees the light and hears the voice. Then he gives an account where the people around him didn't hear the voice, but they saw the light. Then he gives another account where they saw the light but didn't hear the voice. It's all three different things. Basically, he changed the story three times. Now, Jesus said before he left, don't believe anybody who tells you that I've come back in the wilderness or in the hidden rooms. Now, Paul said that Jesus came to him in the wilderness on the road and in the hidden rooms. Paul had a very subtle way of dealing with sin. When he was preaching against sexual immorality, what he did was make a straw man that existed, but a very easy one to take down. Hey man, did you hear about that one guy who's sleeping with his father's wife? You guys can't do that. Now, obviously, that's a pretty low bar to set. And if that's the bar, then a lot of people could be able to do it. Do anything but that. Another one with eating meat sacrificed to idols. The apostles say, no eating meat sacrificed to idols. That's a pretty low bar, you know. But what does Paul say? Paul says, well, you shouldn't eat the meat sacrificed to idols unless you're smart enough to realize that it doesn't matter, because the idols aren't real. Shifty little guy. Now, the disciples came to Thessalonica, and they were preaching in the way that Jesus told them to. They were healing the sick. They were not taking any money, but they were walking around without food, without money, just as Jesus had said. So what does Paul say? He says, well, don't trust those guys, because after all, they were the ones that killed Jesus, being from that area. I can't say the name on YouTube. Thanks a lot, whoever owns YouTube. But he says, well, if they perform signs and wonders, it's by the devil. And if they are going around being lazy and not paying for their food, then don't listen to them. Whereas Jesus commanded his disciples not to carry money or food with them. Now, of all of Paul's 7 churches, only one of them is mentioned in Revelations. And when Jesus took John up into heaven, he didn't come back. Jesus didn't come back to John. He took John up into heaven. He congratulated the Ephesians on rejecting a false prophet. The 7 churches mentioned in Revelation are not the 7 churches that Paul was writing to, with the exception of Ephesians, and whom were congratulated for kicking out a false prophet, for not trusting him. Now, just in general, Paul did not get along with any of the disciples. Anytime they had them around, they fought. He never had one nice word to say about the other apostles. And he even says, I am the greatest of the apostles. I'm a super apostle, even. Jesus said whoever claimed to be the greatest was the least. And then what does Paul do to support his claim of being the greatest disciple? He doesn't say about the signs and wonders and the casting out demons and the healing people. He says, I survived 2 shipwrecks, I've been beaten up, I've starved, I've blah, 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 blah. Just whined and whined. Another thing that John the Beloved said about Paul, said this in general, but he says, listen, the spirit of the Antichrist is in the world. If you claim to have met a spirit who says that Jesus came in spirit, don't trust them, because he came in the flesh. Paul claimed that Jesus came to him in the spirit. John and the rest of the disciples said that Jesus came in the flesh. So John was saying, trust the people who saw Jesus in person. Where was Paul when Jesus was walking around? Why didn't he follow him then? There's more that I could think of, I'm going to give up for now just because it's been 5 minutes. Leave a comment. Just leave a comment. I'd like to contact you guys through email. I don't have Facebook or Instagram. Got kicked off of Instagram somehow. But bye. Love y'all.